Hello, dear friends. When I am out running in the redwoods, I live in the beautiful redwoods here all around, and I usually run in the mornings. And when I'm out on my run, I often get these ideas. I get images or words or almost like kind of a title for YouTube or something to talk about. And this morning, I got an image of a woman being stuck in, I think it was barbed wire or some thorny bushes. And there was just this image like, I'm stuck. I almost saw her with a sign saying stuck. And that I think is a very common place that we all experience on our spiritual journey, that we feel stuck, right? We do everything. We meditate, we become mindful, we are being loving, we stop engaging in things we don't like anymore. There's a lot to this spiritual path, of course, but there always are times when we feel stuck. And I have not avoided those myself. I have felt stuck many, many times on my journey, which has been going on for, gosh, almost 40 years, I think. So this seems to be part of the journey where we just feel stuck, nothing is happening and we're trying to get out of it and we're fighting this and we think we're doing something wrong and it becomes a battle. And the more we battle, as I'm sure we all know by now, the more we feel stuck in it. It's like that Chinese finger trap, right? The more you pull, tighter it gets. And that is something, again, it's something that's just part of the journey that we all need to learn. In my own experience, there really have been times where it really didn't matter what I did or what I didn't do. It didn't make any difference. And I finally surrendered to it. It's like, well, there's nothing else I can do. I'm giving myself completely. I'm doing my best to surrender, and we can only do our best. And then eventually things start moving. Like I was stuck. I felt stuck somehow in it for maybe 4 years recently. It wasn't until the end of last year that I started feeling energy again. It's like, oh, there's something that wants to be expressed, and it's a wonderful feeling. But the previous years, there was nothing. And when I attempted something, it just kind of felt flat. And in that period, I learned just like, okay, so let me just wait because I'm still in full surrender to the best way I can. And there's nothing more I can do. So I would just stay with my own process and, of course, live my life, do what I needed to do. But I didn't feel this energy of movement. It felt like I had reached some kind of a plateau and it starts feeling dull or dead. There's just the aliveness and the vibrancy is missing. And hey, isn't that what we all want? We want to just feel alive. We want to be happy. We want energy. And we want to be able to share our gifts or our love with others. And when it doesn't happen, that can be pretty challenging and pretty uncomfortable, I would say. Now, there are times when there are things we can do that we may not have done. And when that happens, then you'll notice that something starts moving again. And that has a lot to do with what I shared the last few days, that it is our emotional attachments to the world, to the matrix. And, if you look at that barbed wire or these thorny bushes, like they got us, our clothes, our skin, there might be a little blood, and we're fighting it, right? We want to get out of that stuckness. And if I would come over and help you, I would probably get stuck in those same thorns or those same barbed wires as you do, because if we're all completely, wired into them or completely stuck, not just at one little thorn, but it's like the whole body feels like, wow. So it's hard for somebody to go in and pull you out. And I have been talking about the unhooking quite a bit, that we are hooked to the matrix with our emotions. And I would say that thorny bush or barbed wire is a good metaphor for that. We are not just stuck, we are fighting it. We are simply out there in the matrix fighting it. And we feel very stuck where we can't get out, and we're giving it our very best. So then that might be the next phase of it where we surrender. It's like, take your bloody, bleeding hands off the grasping, the fighting with the barbed wire. Stop it. I can feel my body takes a deep breath just automatically when I say stop it. It's like, oh, thank God, because I have been there so many times, and it's such a relief to let go and surrender and say, okay, take me, take me. And when we do that, it's kind of again using the Chinese finger trap, that we surrender. We surrender, we stop this, we let it go, and then immediately the finger trap loosens and we can just pull out. And it's the same with our stuckness. I'm not saying it's always like that, because I do practice a lot of these things, when I am feeling a stuck place. I just try, can I get out? Is there something I'm not seeing? What am I missing? Am I holding on to something? So it doesn't always let us out right away, but there are many, many times when the change happens, when we stop fighting that finger trap, when we stop fighting these thorns and just, okay. And as soon as we do that, the thorns that were sticking into our fingers or the barbed wire that was holding on to our shoulder, we just relax. And it's almost like the skin and the clothes, just like they just kind of start slipping out. And it feels like we can take a little more of a deep breath, even though not much has changed, but something has changed. And of course, what has changed is that we're not battling the current situation. We're not fighting it. We're not trying to change it. We're not making ourselves wrong for being stuck. All these things, that's all the emotional feeding of it. We just feed it, and we don't really realize that our feeding it is what keeps keeps us holding on, and from the other side too. So we're like this. So when we let go, then even if one lets go, you just slip out, and then the other one has nothing to hold on to. So this place to find real surrender is not easy when we are stuck in something that's very uncomfortable. I don't want to make this light. I know it can be very challenging, and yet if we can, if it just even just a little finger, or maybe two fingers, and just like not fighting it anymore. And there's this breath. And then when we feel that sense of relief, there's also realizing like, oh gosh, this feels so good. Screw that. F that fighting. Forget it. I just don't want to do it anymore. It's just too hard. And that's usually when I paint myself into a corner and it's like, okay, I don't care. Maybe I'll just, melt here in this corner and die. That's fine. I just don't want to do this fighting and battling anymore. And in that, there is an energy that gets released. Sometimes it's very palpable. Sometimes it's just kind of a sense of more relaxation or more relief. The more we can stay with that, because then we're back into our own true nature, which is relaxed, which is the space. Even if it's just a little more space, it is our true sense of being. And so when we feel that, and if you feel stuck at the moment, give it a try. Just even maybe hearing what I'm sharing right now. Maybe you feel like, yeah, gosh, I just don't want to do that anymore. And feel what that does to you. Doesn't that feel good? Isn't there a sense of like relief in there? Like, oh my goodness, I don't want to do that anymore. And then stay with that. Maybe allow that relief and that new released energy to show you, because now it has your attention. When you're in there fighting, you're just in there fighting and you're not paying attention to what is also here. So give that a try and see if there is some sense of letting go, even if it's just a sense of relief, even though nothing changes, you will notice that something deeply is changing. And that is that there's more space for you to surrender into something new, something outside of the barbed wire. Like, I don't want to do that anymore. And that feeling of like, gosh, I don't want to do that anymore. That really is very, very liberating. And I highly recommend it because that is always my exit door out of an old pattern. It's like, I just can't do this anymore. And I don't even care what happens. I know one thing, I can't and I won't do that anymore. That is surrender. And then you just go and say, okay, I don't know what's next, but I don't want to feel stuck in this battle anymore. And that's also a very loving thing to do to yourself, to stop fighting with barbed wire. It's like, how unloving is that? So there is definitely an element of self-love and not fighting. You'll feel the pain. You might put some band-aids on just from the battle, but then go deeper than that. Then surrender deep inside and say, okay, well, fighting barbed wire didn't work. So can you please show me a better way? And we have to also laugh a little bit about it because I can also get too serious on my spiritual journey. And what good does that do? So play around with it and see if you can just let go of that barbed wire or these thorny bushes and see what happens. And I would love for you to share that in the comments below. And if you need support in that, if you need help to surrender to your situation as it is right now, and really learn just to come into your true beingness and unhook from this fighting, this arguing, this trying to fix things, even if it's just for a moment, because then you start getting the inner experience of what it's like to be here as opposed to here. So please comment, please like, please share. I'd love to hear from you always. And if you need support in this, feel free to reach out, and I will put the link for connecting with me in the description below. Have a wonderful day, my friends.